Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video I'm going to be doing a really how to in-depth step-by-step guide on how to create this spotlight eye. It's basically, you can use any colours for this technique, but I'm just showing you how I created this one and just doing it really step by step. And yeah, so this is just all about the eyes. And how much does my jumper make this eye pop out? I'm going to colour coordinate every single look that I wear now to my top that I'm wearing, because I feel like it just looks so much better. So we're getting really up close and personal for this look. You have to excuse all these hairs, I don't know what's going on, but we know that I always have bad hair days, so whatever. And also, how pale am I? Wow. So I'm just gonna make sure my base is just all blended, and I've used the Tarte Shape Tape for this. I'm gonna be using my Colourful palette, and I'm gonna take the dark purple shade, that is wasted as my first colour. The second colour I'm gonna be using is this shade here, which is Chant, and then third colour I'm gonna be using is this colour here, Breezy, and then I'm going to just touch into this colour, Recharge. So they're the four colours that I'm going to be using, just so I don't have to keep picking up the palette and going back into it. First of all, I'm going to start by taking the darkest shade and placing this into my crease. And I don't want to bring this up too high, I'm going to really try and focus it in the socket of my eye, because this will be blended out with the lighter colour. So I'm just really packing that in. And I'm really focusing the shape. I want to make sure it's nice and rounded. So I'm then taking a fluffy brush and I'm going in with that lighter purple shade, and I'm just going to dust this half and half. And then just wiping off any excess that's on my brush, and I'm just going to really start to blend those edges. And then once you've started to blend the edges out, you just want to look forwards and just make sure that you are keeping the shape nice and round. So that all looks pretty good to me. So then once that's all blended out, we're going to go back in with that darker shade and just deepen up where we've lost all that pigment. And you don't want to worry too much about these edges, because we can just go back in over those and blend, but you do still want that definition of dark line. You still want to be able to see that. You don't want to blend it completely. I feel like when you do a spotlight eye, you always want a darker, much deeper socket. I personally do anyway when I do my spotlight eyes. And lastly, I'm just going to take a even darker shade of purple, and I'm just going to focus this on the outer corner and just really deepen that corner up and just slightly blend it. This is just to give a little bit more depth. You don't have to add a third colour, but I just really want to get that a little bit darker than what it is. So I'm just going in, and I'm just really carefully placing this, as I don't want to spread it too far. So now it's time to cut the crease, and when you're cutting the crease, you really want to make sure you've got a really nice smooth flat brush. I would either use a MAC 252, or I got this brush from Primark and I'm obsessed with it. It's completely flat. All the bristles are one length, and it just gets so nice and neat. And whenever doing this, I would always use the same product to cut the crease as you used as your base, because I always find that sometimes, not all the time, but if you do add too many textures on top of your eye, then it can start to just look a little bit muddy, or the two textures might not necessarily work really well together. So just to like eliminate that, I always go with the same product. So I'm gonna really coat my brush either side and just get it nice and smooth, and then I'm going to bring this to the center of my eyelid and just drag that all the way down. And I'm then going to start to bring this round, and you want to, again with this, you want to really make sure that it's like rounded. You don't want to have it square, otherwise it won't give the same effect. And you of course want to try and make it as even to the other eye as you can. And then we're just going to pat that over the eyelid. And then what you want to do is wipe off any excess of that product and just pat over the edges so that they are a little bit more blended, and then this will really help the eyeshadow sit on top of it. So just really pat over that and just keep taking off the excess onto like the back of your hand or onto a tissue if you're more organised than I am. And then you're looking a little bit crazy like this, but you can kind of see it coming together. So we're now going to take the fluffy brush that we had out first, that we had that lighter shade on that we blended out, and we're just going to tap into that and start to push this over the edges of that shade. This is to start to bring in that like diffused blended edge. I like to just pat it over the top, and then I find that this just saves moving any like unset product if there is any. And then we're going to just do the same and just build up those shades. So I'm then going to take this flat shader brush, so it's like similar to the brush that I used to set, like to carve my spotlight out with. This is a Zoeva 226, and I'm just going to pick that dark purple shade up and just use this to apply. And this is like a good way of getting it like on the like right shape for your eye. And then I'm just going to pack this in, but not bring it as far in as I did when I applied that lighter shade. And then I'm just going to keep blending as I go along, because I want to just make sure it's all neat. So I'm going to then just gently tap over that line where those two colours meet. And then finally I'm going to go in with that darker shade, which I didn't actually show you, but it's just this shade here called Liqueur. Oh, not that one, this one here. And it is actually like kind of dark, like a deep purple when it comes out of the pan. And I'm just going to really pack this into the corner, just like dabbing motions. And then using that fluffy brush, just tap all over that. So we're now looking like this. I think these colours are so gorgeous. I love them so much. So we're going to go in with that shade Breezy now. And I'm just going to take this on a flat brush. You can use any flat brush. You could use ones, you could clean the one that you just used and use that one. But because I've got another brush, I'm just going to use this. So I'm just going to pick up the product onto my brush. And I'm going to start by pushing the product on, and then when I've got like a good enough base, I'll start swiping it. But I just want to, again, I don't want to move the product that's underneath it, so I'm just going to start by pressing this on. And you just want to be really, really careful when you're bringing that up to obviously the line that you just cut out, because you want to keep that defined. So just really, really take your time. Bounce it over those edges and then I can start to swipe it down, and it just gives you such a different effect. Whereas if you swipe straight away, I feel like you're just dragging the product that's underneath. So now we're like this. So I'm now going to go in with that shade Recharge, just on the other side of the brush that I've just used. And I'm only taking a small amount of this, and I'm just going to add it to the edges of that shimmer, just to give a little bit of definition, as this is a slightly darker blue. And then finally, I'm going to get that fluffy brush again and just dab over those edges and just make sure that that is all nice and blended. And because we already laid the purple down before, this should blend a lot easier than if there was no other shade there. When you're looking like this. Now I always like to line my lid. Actually, I don't always do this, that's a lie. But when I do a spotlight, I do like to line my lid, and this just helps give like a definition to the eye. And I feel like when I'm using blues on my eyes, it really like makes it pop when the lash line is a bit darker, because I just feel like it does. So I'm just using my NYX liner for this, and I find that this is the easiest liner to use. It's got such a thin little end, and I just don't really get on with gel liners. So this is like my fave go-to. So I'm just going to line the lid really, really thin. I don't want anything too big. We obviously need to get it to match the other side. Okay, so that is my lid lined. I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to go ahead and stick on eyelashes. So I use the Duo Lash Glue. I find that this is just such a strong lash glue. I love it so much. You can pick this up at like MAC or Boots or Superdrug or any of those places like that. And I am using the Tatty Lashes in TL6. They're really nice, thick and fluffy, which is what I love. Anything that looks a bit like a Russian eyelash, like, you know, the extensions you get, I'm just obsessed with. So I just like to let the glue go really, really tacky before applying it, because I find that when the glue is too wet, they don't stick, they move around a lot, whereas where it's tacky, you can place it straight away and then you can stick down the edges, and it is so much easier to maneuver. So if you do struggle with applying eyelashes, then definitely try leaving it to go a little bit tackier, as I feel like this would really, really help you out. So I'm just going to let that dry. And then I always find it easier to apply lashes using tweezers. However, I do know a lot of people that use like their hands, and I just can't understand how they can do that. But if you can do that, then hats off to you. So I just hold my lash in the center, and I just place it onto the center of my eye, like right in the middle, place it on, and then I like to pull my outer edge to the outer corner of my eye, and then I just pop down the center. Oh, that's not gonna stick. And then if you do need to just hold it for a little bit while that dries, do so, because you do want them to stick nice. While you're waiting for it to dry, you can just obviously close your eye and just make sure it's all stuck in the right areas. But before applying mascara to the lash, I like to let it completely dry first, because otherwise I feel like it will just come off. And also with mascara and eyelashes, obviously you're not ideally meant to put it on top of your eyelashes. However, I like to put it on after I've applied my eyelashes, as I feel like it just helps my natural lashes blend into the eyelash more, as I do have fair eyelashes. So I find that this way just helps. Whereas sometimes if I put mascara on first, it can like get too clumpy with the eyelash and it doesn't sit right. So once that is nice and dry, I just test it with my tweezers. It seems okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply a thin layer, and it doesn't really matter what mascara you use for this. So I'm just going to apply this one here, which is the Rimmel London Super Curl 24-hour mascara. And I'm just going to apply this to all my little blonde lashes. Not trying to put it on the actual eyelash too much, as they will last longer if you don't get as much glue on them. However you can, not glue, mascara. You can clean your eyelashes, but I feel like they never really go back to how they originally were. So obviously the less mascara that goes on the actual eyelash is better. And then finally, I just like to take that same liquid liner and I just run across the top of my lash band in case there's any glue just chilling and is staying white. So once we've done that, we are ready to move on to the bottom eye. You can honestly do anything you want with this, but this is just what I'm gonna do specifically for this look. So I'm taking my blue eyeliner as I feel like this will really complement the blue, obviously, that is on my lid. And I'm just going to run this through my waterline. I find that pencil is easier for this if it's a really nice creamy pencil, but I know a lot of people do use gel in their waterline and they say it lasts a lot longer than pencil. However, I just don't get on with it, so I've not tried it, but maybe I should. So I just like, I find it's really weird. If you like say this is my eyes normally, if you go like tense your bottom eyelid, it like goes stiffer and it's so much easier to like scribble on. It's weird, but try it. I actually pull the ugliest faces when I do this as well. When working with colour, I find it easier to conceal under my eye first, just so that this can then, oh no, I've got freaking blue on my pupil blender. Because then if any shadow does drop, you can just wipe it away, whereas if it was on your makeup, you obviously couldn't do that. Okay, so that was a bit backwards, but I did totally forget. So the lightest purple shade I'm going to take and start to blend under that line. You just want to make sure you are keeping your eye rounded. Just make sure the colour is like the same pigment the whole way around. Then just rub off any excess from your brush if you want to do some like extra blending. And then I'm taking that pencil brush so I can get nice and neat and into my waterline, and I'm going to take the darkest purple shade and just buff this in. And then just taking that fluffy brush. I find that to get like a good blend, you just have to constantly keep going like backwards and forwards with like the same brushes. And then finally I'm going to take that darkest shade and just apply this really close to the lash line, but just in the outer corner. Definitely should have put the camera closer to me so I could have got you like more zoomed in. So finally, once we've done that, you can go ahead and apply your mascara and then obviously move on to your face makeup. Okay guys, so that is the finished tutorial. I really hope that step by step was really helpful and just gave you maybe like a little bit more information than I normally do in a normal tutorial. That was the kind of the vibe I was going along. I watched one of Holly Boon's and she like smashed it out of the bag, obviously. And I found it so helpful, so I thought it would be cool to just do one of a look that I was going to create. But if you did enjoy this, or if there's any other looks or any other techniques or anything like that you would like me to do a really step-by-step on, then please just leave it in the comments below, because I read every single one of your comments. I always try and reply back to every single one of you, and yeah, I will really take it on board. So anyway, if you did enjoy this little tutorial, then please give it a massive thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload from me, and of course thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.